To run a scenario, begin by pushing the on-off button to power up the Trainer2. The student starts the scenario by pushing the on-off button a second time.
Stay calm. Check responsiveness.
Once the scenario is running, the instructor can control the progress of the scenario by using the 6 buttons below the horizontal line on the remote controller. The bottom left button can be used to pause a scenario once it is running.
Open airway. Check breathing.
Push the pause button once to pause the scenario. Push it again and the scenario will resume.
Give 2 breaths. Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
The bottom right button can be used to stop a scenario that is running or paused. Push the stop button once to stop the scenario. Unlike pausing, stopping resets the scenario to the very beginning. If the student now pushes the Trainer2's on-off button,
Unit OK. Stay calm. Check
the scenario
responsiveness.
will restart from the very beginning. The 2 middle buttons can only be used during the CPR interval while the Trainer2 unit is beeping in a scenario with the CPR metronome on. Push the left button once to make the Trainer2 say,
Push harder.
push the right button once to make the Trainer2 say.
Good compressions.
Both middle buttons can be used at any time during the CPR interval.
Push harder.
But at other times, these buttons are invalid and their transmissions will be rejected by the Trainer2 unit.
Stop CPR.
And the red light will flash 3 times quickly. The No Shock button on the top right is used to call for a result of no shock advised on the next heart analysis. It can only be used during a manual scenario and not during one of the 4 fixed scenarios. By default, in every manual scenario, the heart analysis
Don't touch patient. Analyzing.
will always advise a shock. Push the No Shock button once to force the next heart analysis to advise no shock.
No shock advised. Start CPR.
This button is unidirectional. Once you have called for no shock, you cannot override it to make the Trainer2 unit call for a shock. Once a heart analysis is over, however, the Trainer2 unit will automatically reset the next heart analysis to advise a shock. The top left button, the pads button, is used to let the Trainer2 unit simulate when pads have been attached and are in contact with the patient's heart. In all scenarios, when the Trainer2 unit says,
Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
it will keep repeating this prompt until the pads button is pushed once
Don't touch patient. Analyzing.
to simulate pads attachment and heart rhythm detection.
Don't touch patient. Analyzing.
The pads button can also be used to indicate that a student has attached pads quickly, which will cause a jump to analysis.
Stay calm. Check responsiveness. Call for help. Open airway. Check don't touch patient. Analyzing.
During a heart analysis, you can push the pads button once to simulate a broken connection to the patient's heart.
Don't touch patient. Analyzing. Analysis halted. Check electrode pads.
Push the pads button a second time to simulate reconnection of the pads and detection of a heart rhythm.
Don't touch patient. Analyzing.
Now let's review a complete simulated rescue using the AED Plus Trainer2. The instructor sets up a manual scenario using CPR D-pads and transmits the scenario to the Trainer2. The student begins the scenario.
Unit OK. Stay calm. Check responsiveness. Call for help.
You okay? You okay?
Stay calm.
You.
Check
Call
responsiveness.
911.
Call for help. Open airway.
The instructor pauses the rescue to discuss the student's actions so far, and then resumes the scenario.
Check breathing. Give 2 breaths. Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest. Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest. Don't touch patient. Analyzing. Don't touch patient. Analyzing. Shock advised. Don't touch patient. Press flashing shock button. Shock delivered. Start CPR.
The instructor determines that the student is not pushing deeply enough.
Push harder.
The instructor determines now that compressions are deep enough.
Good compressions.
And that the scenario is complete, and the class should move on to another scenario.